been living with anxiety and depression for a long time. I have bipolar problems, so I don't find exercise to be very helpful since it can send me into a manic episode. Um, so these are the things that I've kind of learned over my lifetime of having anxiety and depression. Um, well, um, the first thing is, of course, if you feel yourself starting to be triggered, or your body is experiencing, like, sometimes there are tells and then sometimes there aren't. If you're having, if you're starting to have like a depression or an anxiety episode, and so you can try to head it off, but I don't find that that necessarily works. Um, but like, say, watching something that makes you happy instead of something that might be like, you know, really depressing or educational or something. Like, I really like learning about history, but whenever I have depressive episodes, I sometimes can't learn about history because it kind of becomes overwhelming to me, um, and it can cause my depression to get worse. Um, but it doesn't bother my anxiety because that's already happened and I can't, like, I wasn't alive then. Like, I tend to only um, research history that predates anybody that I might know. Um, I tend to consider modern history to be a bit too fresh to like deal with because it's more like current events because it's still affecting us now. Whereas like ancient Greek history, although it affects us culturally, doesn't really affect us like in a direct way, you know. It's more indirect. Um, but anyways, so I find that like reading or watching TV shows or something to sort of distract you whenever you start to feel yourself becoming anxious or depressed. I really haven't found anything to help my medic episodes except for to like give myself something to focus on, like a project or something. Um, I tend to hyper focus when I have manic episodes, so I will like organize things and I'll just sort of work nonstop on a project and not sleep. And sometimes I'll forget to eat. But anyways, kind of taking yourself out of your own head and into a story or like artwork or something, whatever works for you. Like if you like video games, then that could help too. Um, I have personally made a list of movies and TV shows that help me whenever I'm having anxiety or depression, and I will try to put a link in this video. It's really a podcast, but anyways, to my IMDb list that I've made. And I look over it whenever I feel depressed or anxious because whenever I have depression or anxiety, my brain isn't functioning properly, so it can be quite hard to think or focus. And so watching things that I've already seen before is usually the best for me because when I have depression, I kind of can't understand what's going on unless I've seen it before. And if I have anxiety, then I need to know how it's going to end, or I become really anxious about it. Um, like with anxiety, rewatching the same thing over and over and over again is good. And sometimes it can be like, I quite like British uh, panel shows with comedians on them. Like, Would I Lie to You is good. I'll try to put a link to that, to the IMDb in the bottom. Um, that's just something that I like to do, like old episodes of that. Um, with anime, slice of life is good for anxiety. Usually it's just sort of daily life. And then, like, uh, there's a couple of slice of life animes. I'll try to put links to them below, that I think are quite good for anxiety. And Last of Summer Wines, which is a British um, comedy TV show. It ran for a really long time, and they just kind of knock about, and like it's just like a group of guys that knock about and do like weird stuff. Um, I find that to be pretty calming whenever I have anxiety problems. I'll put a link to that too. But uh, it can kind of vary from episode to episode as to like what it is that you can handle. So I find having the IMDb list where I can kind of look at the things, and whenever I see like their picture and like the story description, it kind of triggers my memory of it, and like I will instantly know if it is causing a stress response or not. Particularly with anxiety, that is a big thing for me. Like, one thing, like, a movie or TV show might be really thrilling and exciting, but like, at other times it might cause me to like have a panic attack or something, which can be quite difficult to deal with whenever you're trying to watch something to sort of distract yourself from, like, say, being depressed or something. And also with anxiety, like, I didn't realize that I had anxiety for a long time because, um, like, social anxiety and stuff, and I also have like generalized anxiety as well. But because different people have different responses, because it's like I it's sort of your fight or flight instinct malfunctioning in a way. So like, because like people respond differently whenever they have those situations, it's the same way with anxiety. Like, you might go really quiet one day from anxiety, or like, I often talk more whenever I have anxiety because I have a stronger like fight instinct rather than flight. Um, like, I often try to deal with my problems head on, which is not always the best thing to do. I tend to have like a lot of uh I become like really aggressive, and I'll talk over people and stuff because of my anxiety, and people think that I'm like really outgoing when I'm not really. I'm struggling to try to control the situation because like I can't handle like the the idea that like I can't understand if somebody's upset or not, and I frequently upset people and don't know that I am until later because I have a really visual memory, and so I can kind of like remember, like, because at the time I'm having like an adrenaline rush, and I can't really focus on anything, and it's like really confusing and stuff. It's like I have all this like information coming at me, and my body kind of can't deal with everything. But then later I can clearly remember everything because of that adrenaline. It's kind of like after you've had an accident or something, like sometimes you can't remember it at all, and then sometimes you remember it like really super clearly. And I have that clarity most of the time. I can remember things from years and years ago, but it's because I have that stress response, and because my brain is like constantly going over things that have caused me to have a stress response. I guess because like it's trying to learn from it, but there's not really anything that I can learn from it because it was just a conversation with somebody that I might have like made feel uncomfortable or something, or they might not have liked me or something like that, which I don't really think that you should like necessarily need to be liked by everybody. So like I don't understand that, but I don't want to hurt people or make them feel uncomfortable. Um Growing up, uh I was often told after the fact that I had like hurt people, or that uh I was being too aggressive or whatever. And because of that, I tend to be hyper aware of those sorts of things. Um, but anyways, oh, and with anxiety, a lot of people find it helpful to watch like baby animal videos and stuff. Excuse me. But like just whatever is comforting to you, you know. It's kind of like, you know, comedy. Like everybody has their own sense of what's comforting to them, and at different times different things might be comforting to you. So you just kind of have to feel your way through it, you know. Reading your favorite book might be comforting to you, or watching like short little videos might be comforting to you. It's all about what you already like and just using that to soothe yourself. And let's see, I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, with anxiety, doing things that are repetitive can also be soothing. Like knitting is really soothing. Sometimes, because I can't meditate, because whenever I sit still, I have like more anxiety. So, like my brain is always functioning on several different levels and I can't really shut it off. But whenever I move, I can kind of think more clearly. Um, so instead of meditation, like if you can do something like yoga, that can, you know, sort of slow, repetitive movement can be good. Not all yoga is super complicated and pretzely. You can do simple movements. You can do, they have breathing or mental stuff as well. But it's all like what works for you, you know. Because I tend to like not be able to concentrate very well. I can't work on complicated projects whenever I have anxiety. I have to like it has to be something that's like simple, that's just like a knit stitch, or like something that I already know how to do, that I've trained myself to know how to do, and it's just a soothing sort of motion, like rocking in a rocking chair or rocking back and forth, can also be soothing. some people, they sort of twitch and stuff because it's soothing. But anxiety can also make you lash out, and it can make you like get angry quite quickly, particularly if you don't feel safe. Uh, I often try to um, stay away from people whenever I feel anxious, as much as I can, anyways. Um, just because being around people I find to be more stressful, even though my body also has like bizarre stress responses whenever I'm not around people as well. But I find that social situations tend to increase the likelihood of me having rather extreme panic attacks and also like depressive problems and stuff. Um, but yeah, mainly it's just like distracting yourself and really just finding what works for you. Because not everything that works for me will work for you. And a lot of people like to exercise and stuff whenever it comes to anxiety to sort of burn off that energy. And I've never found that that worked because I will basically hurt myself before the internal injury, like the internal energy is bigger than like my physical energy is, and my brain doesn't shut off when my body can't function. So like if I'm exercising and trying to like burn off the energy, that doesn't work because like my physical energy will be gone, but I will still have like an internal sort of energy that my brain won't shut off, and I won't be able to sleep and stuff. And I have pretty bad insomnia problems too. But that is caused by both the manic episodes and the depression. Um, Really, I find the manic episodes to be more distressing because I kind of feel like I can't control myself more. Because I've kind of learned how to manage the anxiety and the depression, for the most part. Um, but with the manic episodes, it's mainly just about having projects ready that I can just run with. So perhaps designing something whenever, you feel fine, or thinking up projects and having a list of things that you might want to do, and then just looking at that list and focusing on those things. So I tend to, because I'm an artist and I have a lot of different projects, whenever I have manic episodes, I try to do things um, that can burn off lots of energy. And because my manic episodes tend to, well, it varies. Sometimes, whenever I'm having a manic episode, I can't think properly, but I have loads and loads of energy. And then sometimes, when I'm having a manic episode, like, my mind, like, is functioning on several different levels, and I'm thinking about lots of different things at the same time, and I've sort of become an excellent problem solver and stuff, but I also tend to be a bit more emotionally detached whenever I have manic episodes, which worries me more because I'm a lot more likely to not care about hurting other people's feelings, or indeed if they're not having a good day or something. And um, I'm not a very observant person most of the time, but when I'm manic, I'm a lot more like self-centric, because I'm not really self-centered. It's just that I have so much stuff going on inside my head that Like, other people's problems seem really inconsequential to me whenever I'm manic. I have been having fewer manic episodes, but they vary. I have really long depressive periods most of the time and brief manic episodes. But the uh, the manic episodes, I'm never sure what I'm going to do though, which worries me. I'm never worried that I'm going to do something violent or something. It's just that I'm not. I become less predictable. And whenever I'm depressed, I'm extremely predictable. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay down and I'm not going to want to get up. And sometimes when I'm depressed, I can sort of seem to function on the outside. I can kind of go through the motions and stuff. And then sometimes I really can't get out of bed and I can't do anything. And a lot of times, whenever I'm going through the motions and I'm depressed, like anything that's extra won't get done. And I oftentimes won't be able to do like things like housework and stuff like that. And then whenever I have manic episodes, I I do that all at one time. I might do like 3 months worth of housework in a day. And I guess that is good to balance it out, but it can be really challenging, especially if I have like particularly long depressive episode and my manic episodes might be really brief. Um, and I might not have access to like the things that I need to do. Um, but always carrying something with you that that can comfort you or distract you is good. A lot of people have phones now, so they can watch videos on that and stuff. If you need to work with your hands, carrying a project with you that's small and portable can be good. Just having a sketchbook if you like to draw, or if you're going to knit, you could just do like small projects on like circular needles are good, like hats or something, where it's not too complicated. Um, but yeah, it's really difficult, especially if you're having anxiety and depression at the same time, which can feel a bit contradictory because the depression drains you of energy, but the anxiety, like, exists on a different level all its own, which is a confusing thing. But yeah. Anyways, I hope that these tips will help you. I don't know. Be safe and be kind to yourself, okay?